So, hey guys, welcome to Beyond the Mat. I am really excited about today's episode. I'm going to explain all, but there is a product that was created by Susan that I'm so excited to go into more about because I'm absolutely obsessed. So, today I have Susan Yara on the podcast. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah. Yep.
Yara? Susan Yara has done so many different things, but one thing that we will be going into is the fact that she is co-founder of Naturium,
Naturium.
Naturium, and also the founder of her YouTube channel, Mixed Makeup, and the host to My Life Online. We are going to go into so many different things on today's episode, and I'm really looking forward to getting into it. So, welcome, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you. And actually, we just changed the name of my podcast to Glow Lab. So,
Oh, Glow Lab, I'm
oh,
sorry.
it's okay. It's
Okay.
okay. We just changed it. I would
Okay, great.
someone to just know.
Just out of interest, when did you change it?
Like last week.
Oh, okay, okay.
So quick.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
that's
not
why I'm
as
like,
bad.
don't even worry. Don't worry. No, this is a new.
I love that name though.
Yeah, it's fun. It's
Okay, so I really don't know where to start because I feel like even when we joined, it was just straight away a connection. And I listened to you on my friend Maggie's podcast the other day, and I was just fascinated by everything. So you correct me if I'm wrong, but you started on YouTube.
Yes. I actually
Yeah.
started my career in journalism. So I was like a hard news reporter on camera, doing that
Okay.
kind of thing. And then I eventually went into the publications world. So I started working at Forbes magazine. But this is at a time when the digital era was just getting started. So like at the time it didn't feel very lucky, but now when I look back, I was in a very lucky place because I was one of the first people in journalism and in media to enter the online space. And so
Oh,
that
wow.
kind of set up my whole career from there because I did that for magazines for a while, for like at least 5, 6 years after that. And I was constantly setting up their video channels, right? So this was like a new concept. YouTube wasn't even owned by Google when I was starting all of this.
Oh, wow.
hmm So this was like a whole new concept to have video online. And so I was really lucky in that I was able to be in that space without being like an influencer content creator, but instead working for media companies. And then because I had that media background and how to do it as like a business, when I finally decided to leave being a beauty editor, and then start my YouTube channel, I came at it with the perspective of somebody who'd been doing it as a business.
And how amazing that you were able to kind of do it on their time
Yeah,
rather than your
exactly. I
own
learned all of
and
the things
just
I needed to learn
absorb.
by working for other people.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what was so you were a beauty editor with Forbes. So
Actually,
what,
so Forbes, I was a wellness reporter and a lifestyle reporter, which was so much fun. I was
wow.
like in my like early 20s, and I got to do all the things that like millionaires and billionaires are doing with their money for fun. That's like essentially what I got to go try out.
Oh my gosh, that's the dream job. And also when we joined, I straight away when we logged in, I was like, okay, I need to know everything you're drinking, eating, skincare, everything because you're just glowing and you had a plaster on your arm because you'd just done an IV. So I feel like we're gonna get along really well.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so talk me through how you started your YouTube channel because I really feel like it's probably something for you that you look back on and was so natural
Mhm.
at the time and almost like it's so tricky to find a different word, but very organic, right?
Mhm.
And it's these organic decisions in the moment that actually you look back on and they're so crucial to the whole blueprint of your journey and your success. So talk me through the YouTube experience.
When I had finally decided to start my own YouTube channel, at that point, it was very intentional, right? Like it wasn't one of those things where I was like, you know what? I think that there's like something for me out there and I'm not sure what it is, so I'm just going to start being a content creator. It was more like I had been doing this for other companies. And back then, especially, there was like never a budget, right? Like, we don't have a budget for this. We don't have a budget. So I was always trying to figure out how to create really beautiful premium content for media companies that weren't giving me a budget to do it, right? So in a way, I was just kind of like, I can do this myself if I start this YouTube channel. And when I was starting YouTube, this was about 2013, 2014. The videos that were being uploaded weren't as high quality yet, right? There was a lot of like, it was a lot of younger people, actually, people in their teens that were coming online, and they were doing things like hauls, right? So that you weren't getting
Yeah.
like experts online, like dermatologists and plastic surgeons and people showing you their experiences with cosmetic treatments. And every time I would look at the analytics of, I was at a magazine called New Beauty Magazine at the time, right before I
Okay.
started my YouTube channel. And so we focused a lot on plastic surgery and cosmetic treatments and skincare. And I would see in our analytics that there was this demographic of women who were in their 30s and their 40s who would be searching topics like what do you do for Botox? Who does Botox? Like all the pros and cons of, cosmetic treatments. But then you would see that those they would come to the channel, they would watch the videos, but they didn't have the same behaviors as teenagers at the time. They weren't engaging with the content. They weren't
Mm.
liking, they weren't commenting, they weren't subscribing to a YouTube channel. So I think a lot of people just assumed, especially like at the time, there was like a bunch of tech bros who were like investing in this kind of stuff. And so when you would talk to a lot of these men, they'd be like, oh, no, it's only young people who are on YouTube. And I kept saying, no, I think there are women who want this premium content where they can get really nice editorial content and learn a lot about the things that nobody's talking about at the time. Nobody was talking about even their Botox. They just wouldn't even talk about it.
That's so true.
It's crazy.
It was such a taboo.
Yeah, like just 10 years ago, you couldn't get a celebrity to admit. And now it's like every celebrity is talking about their plastic surgeons, their facelifts and everything. It's like, it's such a different time than it was when I was starting my YouTube channel. Anyway, so when I decided to start the YouTube channel, I already knew that there were these women out there. And then it turned out to be an entire community because now I always joke, I do everything I do is for the girls, the gays, and the theys. Because it's like it turns out there was this whole demographic of people who wanted to learn about skincare and who wanted to learn about cosmetic treatments, but they wanted to hear it from a professional viewpoint. So I started
Yeah.
being on, I decided to leave my day job, start this YouTube channel, and create content that featured true experts on it, right? So I would get the
Okay.
top plastic surgeons and top dermatologists and cosmetic dentists and all of these people who are involved in the aesthetics industry in Los
Wow.
Angeles, right? And to talk about some of these treatments and then show even some of the treatments on myself, or if it was a treatment, I can't do everything. I would look like a
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I did every single cosmetic treatment, but it was either me or I had a co-host that was doing stuff. I would bring guests on to get a treatment done. It was just always trying to show what was out there so that people could
Yeah.
understand that celebrities weren't just naturally beautiful, right? Like that was all
Yeah.
just a facade. And it turns out they had access to all of these people and they were just doing these cosmetic treatments. So that was really the start of the YouTube channel.
So you became this kind of voice in the beauty industry that really didn't exist at the time, that was just like no gatekeeping. This is what we're doing. This is what people are doing.
Yeah,
And I'm going to tell you about it in an informed way as well.
exactly.
And also it's interesting that you saw that this consumer that had a higher disposable income, she did exist, but she was engaging in a different way.
Yeah,
Maybe not like you say, liking and commenting, like a little bit more under the radar.
exactly.
But how did you become aware of that? If it
I
wasn't
mean,
as big?
every content creator has access to this, right? You can look at
Yeah.
your demographics and really start to break it down, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on YouTube. You can really get into your analytics and
Mm,
like really do a deep dive of what it is that your consumer, your viewer, who that person is, right? It can
yeah.
get, I mean, it gets to like you can get so granular with what these demographics are and what these analytics are. You can see how long they're watching your videos. You can see what city they live in. You can see, like it's people don't realize like you actually have access to so much information when you're a content creator. So if you
It's fascinating. And there's so much. And I think there's this new wave in recent years of more respect for content creators because they really are like diving into the business side of things and like you say the analytics, and there's so much information for them to really just completely thrive in what they're doing and make the most of it. If someone is at home listening and they have a YouTube channel, what are the things that people should look out for when they're creating a video? Like what are the analytics that you think are something that people should be aware
Well,
of?
what I tend to find whenever I'm speaking to content creators who reach out for advice, when I talk about analytics with them, what they're looking at is watch time.
Mm,
Sometimes they're like looking at a lot of them are focused on their follower count, right? Like they just want to see how many follows do they have, how many people are they losing, and also like how many likes or engagements, like comments that they're getting on a post, right? Those to me are the least important. They're the
Yeah.
completely least important, right? The
More like a vanity thing.
That is exactly right. That's what's keeping your like the psychology going of that, okay, I need to do
Mm,
something else. And so what they'll do is, and this is important to do, but it's just only one factor in your content creation. What they'll do is they'll focus on, okay, like this was a viral video, right? This video did well, this topic. So then you'll just see them create over and over again a version of that topic, right? But then
mm,
you get stuck into this kind of like a niche, right? Like where this is what you
yeah,
suddenly become known for. And if you veer from that, nobody wants to watch your content anymore because they only came for this one piece
right.
of content, right? So
Okay,
what you
that's
should be
interesting.
looking at is who are your followers, right? And where, like, what is it that they're watching? So when you're looking at, and I like one of the things that I'm really like thinking in my head as I'm saying this about Instagram at this very moment, right? When
Mm,
you look at your Instagram followers, and you look at one piece of content, you can see if it was majority followers that watched it or if it was people from that were not your followers, right? If it's a
yeah.
video that was not your followers, that's key information. But that means that if you create videos like this, even if it was a viral video, you're just going to continue getting people who are not your demographic.
You're not retaining anyone.
Exactly. Which has
You're
its
getting,
value too, right? Because sometimes you do get some of those people as followers. Sometimes this is what, just like if you're working with a brand or something, maybe that's all they want, right? But if you're trying
mm,
to create your own business, right? Like I have skincare line, that kind of thing. You want to be focused on the people who become your community, right?
yeah.
And that's why YouTube is such a special place, is because you build a community there. It's much harder to build a YouTube following, and not a YouTube Shorts following, but like a following that is there for your weekly content, right? They almost like
Mm.
consume it like it's television to them. It's their show. Um,
I feel like YouTube is ride or die.
exactly,
Follow it. Isn't it? Yeah.
exactly. So when you are looking at who your core community is and the content that they're watching, even if you are only getting let's say your average video gets like 50,000 views, but the ones where your core community are actually watching it, maybe it's only like 20,000 views that you're getting, but you've got 90% your actual followers are watching that versus a video that's
Yeah.
50,000 views and like 80% was non-followers, right? You want to make sure that you're still creating this content for these followers, for the community, because those are the people that buy from you. They're the people who listen to you. They're the people who want to
Hmm.
be your friends. Like they're the people that are there for you, right? And they're the people that
So
you're
that
catering to.
that's a sign that you're creating valuable content for your consumer
Exactly.
versus just content that anyone's kind of watching. And also it's much cheaper to retain a customer than to acquire a customer. And it's the same thing with YouTube,
Yeah,
because especially if you're then leading to a business, like you're connecting your YouTube to your skincare brand or your makeup brand or whatever, that is much more value to have that type of consumer that is loyal and there and listening to what you have to say.
exactly. That is so much more important for any it's important for your content creation too because again, like you don't want the way that people consume uh
Mm,
content these days, especially with TikTok, right? They don't actually know who it is that they're following. They don't, or maybe they
yeah,
don't even follow. They just go to their For You page and they just scroll endlessly, right? It's
yeah,
the doom scroll. And it's like you just keep going and sometimes you'll continue to see the same person. And then
yeah.
maybe because you've like watched several of this person's videos, then maybe you'll follow them. But it's not our habit anymore to just hit
Yeah.
follow. So
It, it's interesting the different platforms and the different variety of even just how we consume it and how your customer is then getting that end product. And so how did you then go from YouTube to then creating what is today
um,
Nature?
so I think because I really made the focus on skincare, especially towards like the last few years of my YouTube channel, it's really been about skincare, right?
Okay.
And so because of that, and I think because so I had started something called skincare reaction videos.
Okay.
And I think it was this moment, even though I had been creating skincare videos for a while, it was this moment where it kind of unlocked true education for people when it came to skincare. Because at the time, skincare felt so confusing. And there were brands like The Ordinary that had started to make it a little bit easier to understand by focusing on ingredients, right? And I think that was a big unlock for a lot of people to like
Yeah.
understand like, oh, wait, there's hyaluronic acid in here. There's vitamin C in here. There's a retinol in here. Like that started to make a lot more sense to people
Yeah.
because they could equate, like what this ingredient does for your skin, right? But it was still confusing when you would get this like set of products. You'd be like, am I supposed to use these together? What am I supposed to do? Like, I don't know what steps I'm supposed to take. So when I started doing the reaction videos, I was basically saying, this isn't really what you're supposed to be doing with this product, or you're not supposed to put this product on before this or after this product, right? And so
Okay.
I think this was like a true unlock for a lot of people. And when that started to happen, and it was also just fun and educational, right? Like I can be a little bit sassy and like, it's like it was just a fun way to learn about skincare.
Yeah.
And so I think that once that started to happen, then people were like, wait, you know so much about skincare, even though I don't have a true background in skincare. I've just been
Mm.
in the beauty industry as a beauty editor for years and
Yeah.
worked alongside a lot of these experts and learned from them. Um, a lot of my followers were just like, why don't you do a skincare line? And at first I was like, absolutely not. Like I just don't, the undertaking would be too much for me. For a
Mm.
while I was like, wait a second. I think I know what I want to do with this. And that was kind of the start of it.
And you have a co-founder.
I did, yeah. So
You had a
yeah,
co-founder.
Naturium is now owned by a bigger company called e.l.f. So we had the brand acquired a year and a half ago. Um,
Insane.
yeah,
That's a whole other, we need to go deep on that. It's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. It's
Such,
very, very
and in
exciting.
such a well, it must feel funny when people say this to you in such a short period of time, but you must have felt like actually your journey started like YouTube video number one.
Exactly. But that's what I tell people because the brand was only about 3.5 years old when we sold it, which
Yeah.
is pretty record timing, right, to sell a company like that. But I always tell people it wasn't just 3 years, it was like 10 years of my life of doing education and really cultivating a community. So, um,
And also testing your audience.
exactly.
You were actually against it, and then you thought, no, I have a voice. I have that community with the appetite for this. I'm going to go for it rather than just kind of going into it blindly into a product business, which is just so challenging.
Yeah.
So how did it work then? Did your co-founder already have the company and you joined, or you
Yeah.
decided to go?
So this,
So
it was a weird time, right? It was the pandemic, the very start of it, and I had been working on a separate brand that was probably going to launch like a few months later, but the contract manufacturer I was working with was based in Korea. And so
okay,
coronavirus had like COVID had like hit them sooner. And so I
right.
received a message from that manufacturer basically saying that they can't continue anymore because there's this virus going around. And this
Oh
was
my
before
gosh.
all of us like started to go into lockdown, right? And so I was just like, that is the weirdest email I've ever received. I actually remember turning to my ex-husband my husband at the time, and being like, I just received the strangest email, and because of it, I think there's like a zombie apocalypse coming. Like I really
Yeah.
remember saying this to him because it's just such a strange concept to get an email from a company that you've been spending months with, that they've put their own time
Oh.
into, and for them to just in one email say, we actually can't do this, you know? And
And also, we didn't really know much about it then, as you
exactly,
say.
exactly. So then it was like the start of like, okay, I think one of the hardest things when you're starting a brand, if you haven't been a brand owner before, worked with contract manufacturers, is trying to convince a contract manufacturer to work with you, right?
Yeah,
People reach out to them all the time saying they want to start a brand. And so they have to really be discerning of who can actually create a brand with us and not waste our time, right? So it had
because
taken
you're becoming partners.
exactly. Well, and they can only take on so many partners, right?
Yeah,
They want to have the brands that are going to be serious well, they want to work with the brands that are going to be serious, right? So it was really hard to find a contract manufacturer to work with. And just knowing that this one that I'd spent time with already was out that was very shocking to me. So I started to just reach out to people I knew in this industry to ask them if they knew a contract manufacturer that they could introduce me to. What are they doing? And my former business partner, Ben, had just launched this brand called Naturium. And it just kind of felt like he was putting it out there to test the waters. But the products were really high quality. They were at a very accessible price point, which was mind-blowing to me because usually when it's at a price point like that, you're thinking this can't be that high quality product. But the products were actually amazing. The formulas were amazing. The packaging
wow.
was beautiful. So I was just kind of like, how are you doing this? So I reached out to him and I was like, I kind of explained my story, like what just happened. And I was like, I would love to talk to you about what you're doing and maybe like hopefully we can work together or you can help me out or something. And at that point, when I had reached out to him, we were about 2 weeks into lockdown, where like the world had suddenly gone into,
Yeah.
right? And
Wow.
so we thought we were like going to be in lockdown for like 2 weeks and then it'd be over, you know?
Yeah.
And so we start talking, and at the time there was like no intention of actually being business partners. It was more like I'm reaching out to you to get advice. I'd love for your help, and if you want to help
Mm.
me with my brand, great. I would love this. And so we start talking about it, and like of course he starts kind of asking me my opinion about Naturium, and I tell him all my opinions about it. Here's what I would change about it. Here's what I would keep about it. Here's like all this stuff.
Wow.
And after a while, he started to really listen to what it was I was contributing to the brand, and they start making changes, and the brand suddenly started to do better, right? And so he was just kind of like, "Wait a second!" Like then this like lockdown.
She's onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, this lockdown is continuing. And at the time also, we didn't know that e-commerce was going to like boom, right? Everybody was still in
Yeah.
this like, what is happening with the pandemic and everything.
Mhm.
So he says to me one day, we now had like conversations several times over like a period of like 2 weeks. And he says to me, instead of working on two different brands, Naturium is a brand new baby brand. We're still finding our way. We don't truly have like a founder of the brand. Would you want to join forces here instead of working on two separate brands, especially in this type of situation that we're in where
Right.
we don't know what the heck's
Yeah.
going on with the world? And I was like, yeah, I guess that makes complete sense. And so I eventually joined on to the brand and really just kind of I will always thank him for this. He just handed me a brand. Like
Yeah.
like, here, do with this what you want and make it soar. And he trusted me. And that's what we did.
Well, he handed you the brand, but you made that brand what it is.
Yeah.
So it's teamwork. But
Absolutely
when
teamwork.
you,
And he, by the way, has been he's like an icon in the beauty industry. I mean, like what we know is like, I don't know, like original like Bath and Body Works that started like the like whole French
yes,
mist
yeah.
trend and everything. He was the guy behind that years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so like he has been in this beauty industry for so long, and working with him on Naturium was like brand building boot camp. It was amazing. And we had all this time because again, we were in lockdown, so we had all this time to just learn from each other and really build.
And at this point in the beginning, were you acting almost as a genuine influencer of the brand? So talking to your community about
Yeah,
nurturing.
I at first I didn't. So I had talked about the brand before I was an actual co-founder in it. And
Yeah,
then I realized we were going to start to make this a true business deal. And so then I stopped talking about it. And then I eventually announced that I was part of the brand. And then from
yeah.
there, I became the face of it. And I am like the main content creator for the brand, which is, a
Okay.
big bonus because if you can be the person creating the main content, then you're saving so much money already.
It's amazing. Imagine the partnership deal you would have had to pay yourself. It's perfect.
Yeah,
Two birds in one stone.
exactly.
Okay, and then I was listening to this fascinating story on Maggie's podcast with you about then due to this kind of you joining forces, you then got cancelled. Talk me through that because I mean,
Canceled such
what?
a strong word because when I think about canceled now, at the time I felt like I was being canceled. I was like, oh my God, I'm being canceled.
Yeah.
But
In the scheme of things now, maybe it
no, it was
looks
just people
much
being mad at
softer.
me, and rightfully so, right? Like being upset with me for not being clear about how this relationship came to be. But at the time also, I kind of felt like whose business is this, right? Like who
Yeah,
deserves to know the nitty-gritty behind like a failure of a business that I had, like this contract manufacturer ended. Like it just isn't like a fun story to share, right? And we were
yeah.
just in the middle of trying to create a new brand, so why focus on the negative part of it? And we should be focusing on this launch of this brand, right? Like really announcing my association with
Also,
it now.
it was so second nature and genuine to you, so you wouldn't be thinking to tell people because the entry of you into this brand was so genuine. You loved it and you were like, wow, these products are incredible. And you were just asking for advice. It's so natural.
Yeah,
So why should
exactly.
you?
Yeah. Yeah, the intention was never to get people upset, right? But
Yeah.
naturally, I think, especially at the time, I think like people create these there's like these parasocial relationships, right? And so just like your best friend would expect for you to explain what just happened in your life, a lot of these people are expecting an explanation. And
Yeah.
and so I didn't do that. And when I think back, it could have been very easy for me to just explain what happened, that kind of.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just such a stubborn person. I like to sometimes be private, and it's maybe something that a lot of content creators grapple with
Mm.
online personalities is that, it's this there's this expectation.
Where's the line? Yeah.
Exactly. Like every aspect of your life should be shared, especially if you are sharing that stuff. So I think it really gave me this moment to step back and really evaluate how much I wanted to have my life on social media, right?
Yeah.
My children, suddenly I stopped posting about them. Um, I like will very occasionally have my daughter loves to be on camera. She asks all the time,
Oh,
but I so
sweet.
I occasionally will put her on camera. But my son early on never really wanted to be on camera or anything. So I just want to respect that too.
Yeah, of
And
course.
and then like, I don't really talk about any details of what's happening. Like I mentioned that I'm going through a divorce, right? And that's
Yeah.
because people already knew that I was like a married woman. So if anything, it was more like I just want to be clear. If you see me out on a date,
Yeah.
not
Don't
cheating.
be alarmed when you see me on a date with another guy. I'm not cheating.
Exactly. Like that's like the last thing I want to have as like a Reddit headline. So,
Yeah.
there's like little moments that I'll still share, but like really when it comes to like the details and the nitty-gritty of my life, I've really kind of just stopped sharing that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. And I completely agree. So fast forward, e.l.f. Cosmetics
Hmm.
acquires your company for 355 million. Is that right?
Yep, exactly.
So that is over the course of you being involved for how many years? 3 or 4 years?
3 years, yeah.
3 years. That's insane. I mean, when you joined, did you see the potential that something like that would happen?
Well, no, we were very clear of the potential. We knew, my
Yeah.
my former business partner, I think one of the best things about him and something that I really learned from him is that he set that intention, right?
Mm,
From day one, he was like, you cannot get too attached to
this or
your
nothing.
brand, right? Like this is not going to always be your brand. If you work with me, he was like, everything I own is for sale. He's like, the house
Right.
I live in, if somebody comes to me with the right number, my house is for sale, even though it's not our house. Like this is
Yeah.
my dream home, my forever home. But if
Yeah.
someone came to me with the right number, he's like, my house is for sale. You know, he's
Yeah.
like, everything I own is for sale because he's like, I am a businessman, right? So,
Mm,
and I think that's something that a lot of people need to be aware of when they're taking an investor or working with a business partner. The intention usually is they want to sell a business. They want to grow a
yeah.
business and sell it. And so I think that, a lot of people feel a little bit of shame when they discuss like wanting to build a brand to eventually sell it. But the reality is, I'd say like 99% of people build a brand to sell it, right?
It's interesting that it is attached to, like, why should that be attached to shame? It's almost like you're feeling, it feels as if you're using your customer and being disloyal to your customer, but actually the brand lives on, like it's a funny thing. I don't know why that is the case.
I think like, the term I hear is like it feels like a cash grab, right? Like somebody is trying
Mm,
to like capitalize on this moment
yeah,
and then move on from it. And I really think that you can actually be very intentional and passionate about your brand while also knowing that for this brand to actually take on a new life and continue growing and become a
yeah,
household name, you need a bigger company, right? To be able to
totally.
come in and help you turn it into this bigger company, right?
And what are some of the things that a business that wants to sell would do that you would absolutely not do or even think about if you had no plan on selling?
I think if you had no plan on selling, like we probably might have been, and I don't know actually if I'm being honest. I
Like, are there any like clear things that you did along the way that was like directly
Yeah,
because you knew you
yeah,
had
like
that goal?
everything we did was looking at numbers, right? Looking at
Yeah.
at the money aspect of it, right? So if we were going to launch a product or if we were going to do a campaign, we always from day one we're looking at, okay, what's the return on this though, right? What's this
Mm,
worth it? So you're still kind of like learning and growing at the same time.
yeah.
But, like I think if I was just trying to build a passion project, right? Like a brand that I just completely love and I just want to, do things like spend as much money as I want, whatever, then you're doing it slower, right? You're building it slowly, you're being a lot more I guess you're maybe spending a lot more money on it. Whereas like we had tight budgets, we had
Hmm.
product scheduling, like when we were going to be launching in our pipeline, what kind of campaigns we were going to doing. So everything is very, very business oriented from day one, right?
Yeah.
You're making decisions, like every decision we were making was also trying to make sure this was a brand that fit into our dream retailer, right? Like, so if you're starting a beauty brand, I think one of the first things that you need to do is think, what retailer would be the first retailer you would sell this brand in? Because that's usually the make or break retailer for you, right? They're going to
That's really
they're
good
going to help
advice.
set the tone of your brand. They're going to help market your brand. They become your business partner also, right? That
Yeah.
especially that very first retailer. And so I think that's very important for people to think about because if I'm creating a brand for, at this time, we were creating a brand for Target. There was no doubt in my mind Target was going to be our first retailer, right?
Yeah.
Just from my analytics, I knew where my viewers shopped the most. I knew what price point they shopped at, that kind of thing. And so this brand was being built very intentionally for my viewer, right? The people who are skin intellectuals, they want to take good care of their skin. They're very educated. They're smart about it. They want high quality. They don't want to overspend. So this was a brand that we were building for them, right?
Yeah.
Um,
So really making sure you're aligning with your dream
Dream
partner.
yeah,
Yeah.
dream partner, dream customer, right?
Yeah.
And so like if I were building a brand that I knew would be a little pricier, for instance, I might start thinking about how do I create this brand for Sephora, SpaceX,
Mm,
something like that, right? And so when
yeah.
you're thinking about those retailers as being your dream retailer, you got to think about, well, what are the brands that are doing well in those stores, right? And they might look a lot different than a brand that's being sold at Boots or being sold at Target, which was
Yeah.
our main retailer. So you got to really think
Also,
about that.
did you find that you were called to a certain like visual aesthetic, but then you knew your customer was maybe slightly different? Do you know what I mean? So you almost
Absolutely.
had to, yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
creating for the customer rather than for, unless you have a brand that is very much you, your aesthetic, like down to a T, and you are the customer, that's a bit different. But you were very aware of what your customer would want
Exactly.
always.
Yeah. I'm actually working on a second brand now. It's not a skincare brand, it is a beauty brand. And it's funny because I
Oh,
am taking a little bit of a different direction with it, right? There's
yeah.
still this part of me that knows there needs to be good
Hmm.
intentionality where it comes to, again, dream retailer for this brand, dream customer for this brand. But then it is a little bit more about me, right? Like
Yeah.
it is a little bit
Yeah.
more of like, I'm putting a lot more of like my personality into this brand and what I
Yeah.
want it to, like how I want it to come across to people. And so there's a little bit more of this aspect of like, I don't need to grow this brand to sell it immediately, right?
Hmm.
I don't have any investors, nothing like that. Like it's just a brand that I get to build. But I also know there needs to be some intention when it comes to making a
Of course.
brand, right?
Yeah. But more about you and more your passion project versus like you joining this company that you can add value to.
Exactly.
And what are some of them? Because I'm always like fascinated in huge businesses that actually look back on certain like key moments of success that actually are not the most expensive things that they invested in. Sometimes they are the most creative concepts. I was talking to my friend today about um, was it the Deliveroo in Argentina or
Yeah.
something? They did this like World Cup thing that was like the cheapest thing they ever did and the most impactful. So sometimes businesses, when they are at their most scrappy, they become so creative. So do you have any examples of what you guys did that actually had such an impact looking back?
Well, I think that this was from my experience of being a content creator and trying to grow my own platform. I always thought about the fact that I was constantly like a ride or die for very specific brands. But because I wasn't a big content creator at the time, I would get completely looked over. I wouldn't get invited to events. I wouldn't get sent the PR. I would have to go buy it
Mm,
myself. And like at some point you start feeling a little bit of this like resentment towards these brands, right? Where you're like,
yeah.
I've been such a big supporter, and
Yeah.
maybe I don't have 2 million followers, but I've been such a huge supporter
I'm buying the product.
and buying the product and everything. And I always thought about that. Like there are these people, and by the way, you don't know who's going to become suddenly a larger personality online, right? Um,
Especially with TikTok now.
you
Crazy.
just don't know, right? And so One of the things that I really thought about were, like was focusing on the smaller creators, the up and coming creators who were more ride or die for the brand. True,
Mm,
like people who truly, truly love the brand, who truly want to be part of the community versus these massive creators who get deals all the time and don't necessarily have as much love and passion for your brand. And so we
yeah.
decided to really focus on people who truly, truly love the brand. And that's something that we still do to this day is we
And so that's kind of more customers over influencers, for example.
I mean,
Yeah.
at this point, I feel like customers can very easily be influencers, right? Like anyone
I agree.
can be on
Totally.
TikTok, right? Like you don't have to have a massive following on Instagram or TikTok anymore because of the algorithm. You could just have a really
Yeah,
cool video, a video that just catches everyone's attention, and suddenly you
totally.
go viral, right?
Yeah. And I really agree about your customer being your biggest asset because they are the ones that are so they've had the change in their life. They've noticed something and they're the ones that are going to be so passionate and tell all their friends, especially, stereotypically women. They want to be that kind of voice in their friendship group that is the one that is the recommender in the group.
Yep.
So yeah, I know for us, we definitely invest in our customers over influencers, especially, I mean, influencers that have never used my app. Why would I do that? Whereas the customers, we do all of our events now with customers and put more energy and investment into that because at the end of the day, they're the ones that you have to show thanks to as well.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes I think brands are starting to understand this now, but before, it was like, everyone was like, why do we despise these brand trips, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Because, well, if you're not, thanking your actual customer, but you're treating these people who get free everything and make so much money already to these these amazing dream trips, of course no one's going to be happy watching this happen. Like they're
Yeah,
going to watch it and be like,
exactly.
wow, it's again, it's this like resentment towards this brand that you loved.
And do you think that there is space for brand trips anymore, or do you think
I
it's like a
do.
dying
I do.
breed?
I
You
think
don't?
there's just a balance, right? Like Naturium is
Mm.
starting to dabble into brand trips. And again, we're focusing on, the a brand trip for a brand is very important because it helps you build a deeper relationship with a content creator, right? Whoever comes on this trip, you actually get to spend true time with them, right? Instead of just like an
Yeah.
event where you're like saying hi, nice to meet you, thank you so much, here's a gift bag.
Yeah.
So there is an aspect of it that is great, and you're also giving the content creators a chance to create content, right, around your
Mm.
brand, where it feels more organic and it feels more fun for them to do something like that. So brand trips are great for brands, brands especially that are trying to be sold, right, get acquired
Mhm.
eventually. There's something called EMV that is very, very
Mhm.
important, right? And it is what does EMV stand for? It's like estimated. No, wait. Don't quote me on it. Now I can't even like it used to be so
We'll all be
great.
chat GPT and Ian
Yeah,
V.
exactly. EMB, it's so funny because that used to be like one of the most important things that I kept in my brain, and now it's like I because I don't need to think about it as much anymore.
There's other things in there.
But EMB is very, very important, and it's a number that a lot of companies that are potential buyers for your brand, they want to look at that and see what your EMV is at. So a brand trip is very important because you can create suddenly so much EMV by
Yeah.
having 10 content creators that are consistently posting about your brand for like a period of like 3 or 4 days, right? So then that
It's annoying me now. I'm wondering what it is. Is it like engagement and value or like equity value?
okay, wait, actually, let's just it's such an easy Google really quick.
Yeah.
Stands for earned media value. Gosh,
Okay, great.
I was
There we
like
go.
estimated. I'm
We
like,
got
no,
one of
that
them.
was wrong. It was the wrong word. Earned media value, right? So
Okay.
like the value of what this piece of content is, right?
Okay.
And so you want to have as much EMV as possible, right? And that means that a
Okay.
lot of people are talking about your brand, or like 3 or 4 really big influencers are talking about your brand, and you want this to be consistent. It can't just be like little moments, right? It's like consistently talking about your brand. And
Yeah.
so your potential buyers are looking at this number. It's a very important number to them. And so,
Okay.
'cause
Interesting.
it just means that you've got a lot of hype happening,
Okay.
right?
And were there any key moments or key people that promoted your brand that just made it blow up?
Um, no, I think it was this combination of very
I went,
small content creators
yeah.
consistently talking about the brand. There was this moment actually, but
Oh, right.
there is a community online, and it is run by women, mostly women who are Black estheticians, right? And they have the ears of so many people. It is everybody because they're so smart and they're sharing such valuable information about products and skincare, right? And so there was this moment when we had launched our Glow Getter body wash,
Mm,
where suddenly it just started. We were selling it out, and it wasn't a
wow. And you
TikTok
couldn't figure out
video,
why.
and it wasn't, it wasn't an article, and my whole team was trying to figure this out. And I said to them, guys, there's this woman named Tiara Willis, and she is on Twitter, and she
Wow.
just said that this is her favorite product. And my team couldn't believe it because nobody really sees sales like this come from Twitter, right? Or from X.
Yeah, that's
And
so interesting.
yeah, and I said, do not ever underestimate where a very valuable voice is coming from.
Definitely.
And so that was a huge moment for us. I mean, it was like it just kind of put our body wash on the map, and it has continued to be one of our best-selling products since then.
I am obsessed with the body butter.
Yeah, it's
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I love that feeling of just being like so hydrated and like my body is like sucking up the hydration. It's amazing.
I'm
I've
so
been
happy.
using it all through my pregnancy
Oh,
and
good.
yeah,
You
it's
know
a
what you need to
really,
use after your pregnancy is our retinol body lotion.
ooh, okay.
And
Okay.
actually, while you're pregnant, I think it has less than 10% glycolic acid in it, but our glycolic body lotion for you
Okay.
be amazing to
Ooh,
prevent like the stretch marks and everything.
okay. I'm gonna do it all. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm into it. Okay, and how does it look for you now? Are you still involved in Naturium or are you, yeah, you're still operational?
Yeah, I think again, I think a lot of people will just make the assumption that if you sell your brand, you're not going to be involved anymore. But I think things
Hmm.
are really changing because
Yeah,
one, I mean, my face, my online persona is associated with this brand, right? This brand
of
is my
course.
baby. And it's not like I'd been working on it for over a decade at this point. Like it still feels like a baby brand to me. And I truly want my brand to succeed no matter what,
Yeah,
right? So I'm still highly involved. I still very much oversee things like product development and how, we have an amazing product development team. I can't take credit in the sense of like, I'm not doing the day-to-day with them anymore, where I'm like checking in on how all the development's going. But when it comes to ideation, I'm still very much part of ideation and telling the team like, here's what I think needs to be done with these products.
wow.
Um, that's a big one to me. A product, I mean, I have so many products in my head, hence I'm starting a whole other brand, like
Yes, I
uh,
can understand why.
I used to be in the beginning of it, I was like, how could I continue creating new products? Like, do I really have that many products in my brain? And it turns out, yes, it's like nonstop. I can think of
Wow.
products all the time. Anyway, but it turns into, so I'm very much involved in the product side of things, and then obviously in the marketing and trying to make sure that the brand continues to be distributed worldwide.
Yeah.
So it's really about growth of the brand at this point, and that's what I'm involved in.
Oh, interesting. So it's also really nice. Like you've always enjoyed it, and why would you want to leave now when it's just getting exciting?
It's a dream. This is a dream
Yeah.
come true. I mean, geez, when we're little girls, we're like told like to be like
Yes.
you want to be a smart CEO and like, like
Your
be.
daughter must just be like in awe.
Oh, my kids have no idea. They're just like, what? They're like, you
She
gotta go
will
to work
one day.
again. Like, why are you
She
working so
will.
much? Kids don't
No.
understand it. That maybe when they're
No.
older, I hope that they do. But yeah, it's so exciting to have a successful brand that people come up to you every day and they're like, your brand changed my skin. I get messages
Yeah.
where people will send me videos of like their acne and
How
and like
amazing.
transform their skin, and people really underestimate how happy you can be if you just love your skin. It doesn't have to be
Oh my
perfect,
gosh.
but when you love your skin, it's such a
And
game changer.
if you've ever experienced something like acne, like I had horrendous acne growing up. So now I really appreciate my skin and I really know how it is to hate your skin and to feel so just horrible in your own skin. So now coming out the other side, it's like, oh, like thank God.
Yeah.
So I don't have you for too much longer. So I just want to go through, I want to get everything out of you. So I'm going to go through a quick fire round if that's
Okay,
okay.
let's do it. Let's do the fire round.
And it's just off the cuff. because of our conversation, I want to get some other insights. So, time management. I feel like you are doing all of the things. You have two kids. You're now starting a new business. What is one piece of advice or thing that you do or tool that you use for time management?
I don't use a tool, but I always just remember that whatever I'm choosing to do in this moment, something else is not getting my attention, right? So
Hmm.
when I am giving something my attention, it has to be worth it, right?
Yeah,
Like, I think about this with people, right? The people that I'm associating with, the activities that I take on, it has to be worth my time, right? And
yeah,
I think
because
that
it's taking from something else.
exactly. Like if I'm working on my business, if I'm spending time on a podcast, if I'm traveling, I'm not with my children then necessarily, right? Even if they are with me on a trip, I'm not necessarily giving them my attention then, right? And
Yeah,
that to me is one of the most important things, right, in my
of
life,
course.
my children. So it always kind of stems from that. It's like, what is the most important thing to you? And you should really like line that up in order of like value, right?
Love
And
that.
every time you take something on and you say yes to it, you're taking from that. So
Yeah,
whatever you're saying yes to has to be valuable. It has to be worth your time, right?
I agree.
So
Love
when
that.
you think about it in that way, it's easier because I think especially as women, we don't want to hurt people's feelings. We don't want to come
Mm.
rude. And
Try and do a little bit of everything, but actually, it's like just being really conscious and mindful of your time. And what is to, I guess, a content creator? What would you say is one business tool that everyone needs to be using?
I mean, you have it in your analytics. I can't tell you the amount of times people have come to me saying that they want to start a brand, and then they tell me their idea. And when I say to them, "Is this what your follower buys from you?" They say, "Oh, I don't think so. I don't know." And it's like, that makes zero sense to me. Go and check
Hmm.
analytics. Like if you use affiliate links don't get you that much money, right? Unless you're like selling so many products, right? But what the analytics that you're getting from these affiliate links is you know what people are buying, right?
Yeah.
You know that if they bought this one product you talked about and like 50 people bought it, that means they liked the price point, they liked what you said about it and what they get from it from
Yeah.
and everything. So that is you're on to something. This is what you should.
Dive deeper, even if it's not obvious analytics, like go deeper. What does that represent? What does that mean? What are they buying? What's the price point? Yeah, I love that. Really good piece of advice. And what you have the most glowing skin right now? It's insane. What are three products that make such a difference to your skin?
Sunscreen, I'll always say it's very boring to say that, but sunscreen is number one.
Which, and tell me brands.
You know what? You guys actually have access to some of the best sunscreens, some of my favorites. So, La Roche-Posay, here in like the European continent,
Mm-hmm.
have something called UV Immune 400, but it's the cream. It's not this like liquid. There's a fluid one also.
Yeah.
They have a cream. I'm a dry skin girly, so I really like the cream version of this, and it is such a beautiful sunscreen that you can use on your face every single day. And I just think it's
Wow.
great. It has a very updated sunscreen filters and it works very well. You want to,
And what's the SPF on that?
it's SPF 50. I think 50 is
Great.
minimum. You should always be wearing 50 or up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't leave a white cast, doesn't look gross. It feels like you're putting on a moisturizer. So you can use it every
Rich.
day and
Go and buy that
yeah.
today.
There are also other really great sunscreens like P20, which is like a very old school
Oh
sunscreen.
yeah.
That one, I mean, the fact that it can last for 10 hours, I still reapply sooner than 10 hours, but how many sunscreens can you say do that, right? There are
Yeah.
not that many
So good.
sunscreens on the market that do this. So there's that I would recommend for people, especially if you're going to be spending time outdoors, if you're going on any
Mhm.
holidays right now, go get P20. Put it on yourself, put it on your kids, like make sure you are truly protected from the sun because it's not just to protect from skin cancer, but it's also for vanity reasons. The main
Yeah.
contributor to your aging is the sun. So if you
Hmm.
don't want to have hyperpigmentation, if you don't want to have wrinkles, if you don't want to have, a sunken looking face, try to prevent that because the sun is
Yeah.
contributing to
Yeah.
that. It's one of the biggest factors. So sunscreen. Second, a retinoid. If you have not added a retinoid into your skincare routine at nighttime, add a retinoid. It does not have to be a very strong one because people I think are very scared of retinoids. They think that it's
Yeah.
just make their skin peely and irritated. And yes, it can do that, but you don't have to start at the strongest level to get results. My whole thing is if whatever strength you can use, which for me is actually a very low strength retinol. For me, I prefer to use from my brand Naturium our retinol complex cream. We
Okay.
actually don't sell that in the UK, but we do sell our serum and we have our
Okay.
retinaldehyde products as well in the UK. Um, they're all at varying levels. I start at the lowest level and I can use it every single night. And to me, using it every single night is a big win for me versus trying to use
Yeah.
prescription strength that I can only use like maybe once a week and I'm still irritated and flaky, right? I'd much rather
Keeping
use
that
something that I can
consistency.
use consistently. Yeah. So
And oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah. And a retinoid, by the way, does everything, right? And people are always
Yeah.
like, well, what age should I start using it? Well, teenagers are prescribed retinoids when they have acne. So
Mm-hmm.
it depended on what it is that you're trying to achieve. You want smooth skin, you want to prevent aging, you want to, like stimulate collagen production, a retinoid. Like it does everything.
Okay.
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 Then the third ingredient I'd say is some type of peptide or antioxidant because you
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that you're taking care of the health of your skin. So you want to, if you can get like a peptide moisturizer, for instance, right? You want to have a moisturizer because moisturizer is going to lock in all of the hydration in your skin.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that your skin barrier is just a very strong skin barrier. And when I talk about skin barrier, it's like if you think about like your skin, like it's made out of all these lipids that are very tightly packed together like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if your skin starts to get dry and the skin barrier is irritated, it starts to loosen up. And when it loosens up,
Right.
then water gets out of your skin and then things can get into your skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Comes suddenly there's like this binding is loosening up, right? So you want to make sure you're using the right kinds of lipids like ceramides and fats and oils and moisturizers to be able to lock that back up so that nothing can leave your skin and nothing can enter your skin.
Okay, so it's like that protective barrier. Okay, love it. And what's one treatment that's worth the hype?
Botox. That's
Agreed. I'm
number
missing
one.
that right now.
Yeah, number one. Like if you have not gotten any kind of cosmetic treatments, don't be scared of a needle. Get some Botox. It will change your life.
Okay, I love that. And what's one wellness practice you can't live without?
Strength training.
Ooh, love it.
Yeah, I think that especially for women, what I have learned
Hmm.
is strength
I
training
agree.
is the most important. I don't care if you run, I don't care what kind of exercise you do, you are
Yeah.
going to get the most benefit and look your best and be strong.
Hmm.
Strength training each week, 2 3 times
Also
a week.
amazing for longevity. I do twice a week I do strength and then 4 times a week I'll do Pilates. And yeah, it completely changes everything. It's amazing. Okay, and finally, what's one book that you feel has made a difference in your life? Could be business or personal life.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to give you two books. One,
Hmm.
when I was in my 20s, I read a book called Manifest Your Destiny
Oh,
by
okay.
Wayne Dyer, I want to say.
Yeah,
And it's a
Wayne
little
Dyer.
bit like it's a little bit like hokey, there's a little bit of like like it's like ooh, like but really the whole thing is being intentional, right? It's like
Yeah.
learning how to be intentional with your life and setting your goals and just being completely, like the girls online say they call it like being Delulu now, right? It's
Yes.
totally true though. There is not one thing that I set my mind to that I'm like, I'm not going to be able to achieve this.
Yeah.
It's not a
Having that belief.
it's not a maybe. I am doing this. If I've decided to do something, I'm doing this, and we are going to figure out how to get there. And that's just it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, Second book would be A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Mm.
Akatar. The girlies that have read it will understand, but if you are looking for something a little bit smutty, a little bit of romance, I would read the entire series. The sixth book has just been announced for it. It will change your life. I'd never understood this whole like book boyfriend concept until
Yeah.
and I'll be honest, the first part of the book, I was like, what is this? Like, why are my friends telling me I need to read this? This feels so stupid.
Now you're hooked.
Yeah, and now I'm completely hooked. I've never felt heartbreak the way I have felt after reading a book like this. Like, I felt
Wow.
like
I
I
need
found
to
my
read this.
soulmate, and then he left me. It's over. He ghosted me.
Oh my gosh. I
Adore
need to
him.
read this.
Yeah,
Okay, I love it.
it's so good.
Thank you so much. I've loved this conversation. We've like covered so much. I feel like we need a part two at some point.
We will.
But thank you so much for being here. And I hope you guys loved that episode. Thank you for listening.